All right, hello and welcome to the Business Octopus live stream. I'm Avon Collis, and today we've got Steve Brown here. Welcome, Steve. How are you going?
I'm excellent. I'm proud to be here, Avon, and I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. So today we've got a few discussion points, and we kind of got connected because StreamYard recommended that we talk and potentially collaborate. So if you happen to be a live streamer and you're creating content, check out that collab feature. It's kind of cool. So as you may have, if you know about the podcast, we talk about things, sales, marketing, and technology. And so one of the things that we sort of had a chat about and resonated with around marketing is, a lot of people are doing it really poorly. And so, or not at all. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be completely polished, because I think sometimes people try to do everything and then nothing ever actually happens. So here we are on a live stream, so anything can happen. All right, so I think we took a few high level points. So I'll just bring it up on the ticker here. Here we go. So we've got the first one was stop procrastinating and get a system. So what's been your experience with dealing with people that are just sitting around going, I should market, I should do this, I should do that?
Yeah. So the thing that I found was a common theme with the folks that came to me, and they were asking, and it was like, you probably heard it as well. I think I need to redo my website, or I think I need to refresh my website. But if you were to take that common phrase that you hear over and over and over, and you put it in Chat GPT, and you said, what does this mean when a business owner who realizes they have to run this online marketing thing? What does this really mean when they say that? And basically it says, look, I'm realizing that my clients, my customers, and my employees are expecting me to have my act together online. And I don't know where to start, and I don't know who to trust. And much less do I have the words to say, would you help me build a system? But I think the thing that I want, what they were looking for is, don't sell me another website. Help me get a system in place that's going to help me grow the value of my business. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, I think a lot of times people think that, like everyone says, you got to have a website, got to have a website, got to have a website. And then all it ends up being is a glossy magazine in the cloud. So what you're talking about, and what I guess the system, maybe there's two ways you could think about this. One is a system to create content, to create your website, to create marketing materials, and just proactively improve over time. And the other one is the website itself being a system, like a sales engine, something that is perhaps interactive, that provides information, that educates, that trains. I think a lot of times, the people hear the buzzwords, but then they lack the activity. Like once upon a time, we had someone in the business that would, I wanted a website, and I just wanted to go. Didn't have to be perfect, just needed something up. And, we'll tweak it, we'll improve it, we'll change it. We know it's not going to be perfect. But they were a little bit of a roadblock on things and going, no, it has to be just right. And we have to get the marketing message right. I get it to an extent, but there's a version 1, there's a version 2. Whenever you go to software programs, you look at, 10.0.1, like there's a version. Everything that, even like the most shiny, polished, expensive, high-end software started with probably Hello World on the screen.
It's so true. Yeah. The thing that I really want folks to realize, the light bulb went off for me when, are you familiar with Gino Wickman and the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS?
EOS, yes.
Remember
the name off by heart. Yeah.
So basically, one day I'm on a plane. I'm going to San Francisco to a conference, a Google conference, and I'm reading this book. What the heck is EOS? And the light bulb goes off that what I'm helping folks build is a component of that, and it's the entrepreneurial marketing and sales operating system. Simplistically, we're building an asset that's going to help them grow their business, help them sell better, help them connect with their clients, help them communicate. It's really a system.
I think, I think a lot of times people need to try and conceptualize a lot of things, and analogies really help. So sometimes when I visualize myself creating systems, like a business is a system of systems. Yeah. It's a symphony of things that are working together. So I kind of, in my head, I imagine myself putting a pebble in like a a snowball and I'm standing on the top of the mountain and I'm throwing one in that direction, and that's marketing. And then I pick up another one and I throw another one in that direction, that's admin and finance. And then another one in another direction, it's recruitment or something like that. So every little thing, I'm just trying to kick off and start something. Like, I'm not going to be the guy ultimately doing every single little thing in the business, or at least even if I am, I'm not thinking that way. I'm thinking about how's the next person going to come in, see what it is that I've done so far, understand what the direction is, see the rules that they have to play by, and then have a goal that they have to drive at, and then say, have at it, because then they come up with new ideas that I could never think of.
And so when I think about it, it's like really hard to help someone visualize. I loved your analogy, or your what you're talking about there. But here's what we're doing is we're taking your messaging. One of the hardest things a business leader can do is to communicate clearly. And so if you help them get their message clear, but it's got to live somewhere, that's where the technology comes in. You bake it into their technology. That's your CMS, your content management system, your marketing automation system, even in your sales system. And then you have to think strategy. What strategic campaigns am I going to do? Now, you and I, you're in Australia, I'm in Texas. And so Texans think of Australians as basically Texans that just sound like they're from England, right? But in Texas, you think about, let's say, Avon, you came and visited me, and I'd take you out to the Big Tex and we get a steak. We're going to get in my pickup truck and we're going to drive out and we're going to round up some cattle. So we're going to get on some horses and we're going to go get these cattle. And so we got some leads, okay? But we're kind of proud that we didn't fall off the horse, and we actually found some cattle and we got them going a particular direction. But then we look at each other and we go, where are we taking them? Oh, it's like we don't have any pens set for them to drive them into. We don't have anybody waiting to brand them or load them onto trucks. We're just driving cattle. And I think most of the time that's how folks start on their marketing website. They start building these things, they start posting social media, but they don't know where they're bringing these leads.
I think in terms of, like you're saying, messaging and like the business owners, they're trying to, another thing like I envisage myself, like once upon a time, I was in the army and in Malaysia doing jungle training, right? And so we're doing this assault, and we were the flanking force that had to come around, and the grass was so damn high, I had to literally had my rifle and basically throw it and my body and my pack down just to lay down enough grass to then take a step forward and then walk my body length forward and then jump and dive again and push it down. So as like the business owner, you're kind of pushing the grass down and creating that first track, that first few steps. So a lot of times if you're haphazard and you're going all over the shop, you don't have a clear picture of where you're going, then no one else is going to be able to go, oh, there's a straight line. I can kind of extrapolate where they're looking to get to further up. That's sort of like, and the amount of effort you have to go to kind of test the waters and like you're kind of feeling your way around. And then once you consolidate it, then you got sort of troops behind you to help sort of like make that more of a thing, a consolidate, and then maybe build the road or whatever, like you're beating new ground, you're driving new path. And a lot of times, if you don't have that direction set, like imagine if you get on a highway and it's like this in a plain open field, but if it's straight and narrow and you've got a direction, and then it's easy to follow and you move faster.
Yeah, I think also folks, they have a hiring system, they have an onboarding system, an interviewing process, or they have their service, they have a way of delivering that, billing it, collecting it. And I think they really need to look at this aspect of the business in the same way, that whatever we build here needs to be complementary and support the existing systems you have in place as well.
Yeah. So I think one of the next points, I guess, what we're talking about systems. So we specifically, website, but then, where do they go after that? Like there's a whole string of systems that sort of stitch together to bring that sort of continuous journey, or that continuous like customer experience from end to end. What's the next thing in line?
Well, what I find is that folks either have a CRM, but it's not used that much, because someone's got to lead that initiative, and most people are resistant to change, or they don't have a CRM. They just have these people are filling out a form. It's going to one of the employees' inbox, but who's following up on it? What's the next step? Who is it being sent to the salesperson, or should it go to customer service person? A CRM or a customer relationship management tool makes it so nice that when someone does visit your website, happens to fill out a form, then it creates a contact record, and then acknowledges them and starts a conversation that it tracks the timeline of the back and forth of that conversation in there. There's where their phone number is. There's where their address is. There's where the service that they're interested in or use. Then everybody starts to look in that same place. And now you've got a united, centralized place where things stop falling through the cracks.
100%. And I like to try and push data in from a range of sources. So yes, forms, but also, like they book you on Calendly or some kind of like calendar tool, or, like a card scanning app. You go to networking and you scan like the 20 cards or whatever that you picked up. And then you can at least start a conversation, start to rank and structure, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But which one is the right person to reach out to, and which one is not going to help you? So I think a lot of times people are when they're looking at marketing, people come at it with the wrong angle of attack. They go, I need sales, so I'm going to go and maybe hit the phones or do something. They try to find that one magic bullet that's going to solve all problems. But unfortunately, it's a few things. So I guess to give people a little bit more clarity and guidance, let's flick over to how to get the next 20 sales in your business, because there's no one magic bullet that's going to solve all of that. But I think if you've got the right mix, I think Elon Musk said it's like baking a cake. You have to have the right ingredients and the right ratios. Otherwise, it's going to go flat or burn, or, it's not going to work out just right. Cooking a cake more is not going to make it better, taste better.
Right. So the thing I think that's really important is that we need to think of a strategy. So let's say that we're going to get our next 20 leads. But first of all, we need to figure out who is it that we would love to have. So what I like to do is one day it hit me. I was thinking about, I was designing something, and I'm going, I need to attract more folks and bring them in house. And then I don't know why, but it just hit me. And I was going, the last 3 folks we brought on, it wasn't me convincing them why they need to do it. It was them starting to see how my team could complement them and help them be more successful. Well, what it turned out to be is the commonality with these last 3 accounts was they were marketing directors for a company. And so if you think about, well, what was their job? Their job is they've got folks that they need to report to. They've got, they don't usually have enough resources, and they're expected to do everything. And when I realized it, they were seeing my team, my project manager, my content writer, my creative, my HubSpot specialist, or as like, oh my gosh, it's a team from heaven that I can think strategy, and they do all the hard work, and they can do all the things I can't. And so when you think about your next 20 sales, you need to identify who that perfect person is that just loves what you do, doesn't argue with the way you do it, and is happy to go and procure the budget to pay for your services. And if you can do that, then guess what happens? It makes it easy to write content, to design a landing page.
Yeah,
It speaks directly to that person, to offer some sort of helpful PDF that would be like super valuable to them. Like how to convince your stakeholders, your board, on how to pay for the services that you need to be successful. Something like that. And I think that's where most folks could really benefit when they're thinking about, where am I going to get my next 20 sales?
Yeah, I like to think about like I call it nodes. It's like the one person that knows the 20 people that could do work with you, and they understand the value, because not a lot of times people don't know the problem that they, or it's like the, 5 why. You've got to ask 5 why. People go, I need more sales, but you say, why? Well, I'm not making enough money. Why? No one knows about us. Okay, well, now we need to do some marketing, and then maybe look at, obviously there was only 3 why, but you get the idea. And a lot of like chasing back down that sort of chain of what the cause and effect was. Like a lot of times, someone might say like, I've got a sore leg, and the doctor comes in and goes, well, actually it's a blood problem and that's causing the sore leg. So there's actually something way back over here that you need to fix. But normally it takes an external to sort of see that. And so, I normally plug in with like coaches, consultants, and specialists that can kind of look under the hood, see things from a different angle from the business owner, and go, this is the problem. This is the issue that I'm trying to solve, or that you need to solve in order to fix that, and then that as the end result. So in terms of, getting your ideal customer, when they're like, oh my God, yes, this is absolutely the person that I have to work with. I think a lot of times people go, oh, I'd love to, but that's not the kind of client I end up attracting. But you can, if you understand who that is, and then you speak to them and try to provide, like you're saying, that content. And I think a lot of times people sort of sit there going, I'm just waiting for that right client to come along, but they're not actually proactively going out. And that speaks to that stop procrastinating, is create the content. Like, you have to build it. It's not going to build itself. And just because you have a business doesn't mean it's not Field of Dreams, the baseball movie. If you build it, they will come. It's not a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're talking about, well, I'm not sure if I can get enough of those. Well, I call it, you've heard the term, you were in the military, collateral damage, meaning that you're trying to target something, but you're also impacting some radius around with damage. Yeah. But if you can be brave enough to go, I'm going to declare this niche, well, there's collateral benefits that happen there. So you're not just going to get only those, but you're going to get folks that are similar to those. Yeah. And you're going to be able to pick and choose who you want, but just by niching and declaring and kind of planting your flag or staking this is my area that I'm going to be expert in, you'll attract other lookalike opportunities.
If you do 100 things, people are really going to like keep in memory the fact that you do 1 or 2 things. Like, they can't conceptualize. If they go to you, hey, what do you do? Like at a networking event, you go, I do this, 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 I do this. And then they're like glaze over, and they're like, I've forgotten everything, and they walk away. Whereas if you go, I do this one thing for this one target group, and they go, oh, that's kind of cool. I know someone like that. And they can kind of picture you in that. And then they can give you that sort of introduction. And then from there, there might be, like you say, people left and right of that go, oh, that's similar to what I'm doing. It's not exactly in your market, but I'm pretty sure that would work here. So I 100% agree.
So what do you say, even when someone asks you what you do?
I am a business automation specialist. I help people do more with less.
Yeah, that's excellent. It's so important right now. It's like a big profit lever that if you can implement automation, it's amazing. There's a lot of these things you don't think about that you could be expecting of technology to make your business more efficient, more profitable, to make your employees more effective as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the audience, what in a short line, what do you do?
So I help business leaders figure out how to get their act together online. They're concerned about what they're supposed to say, how they're supposed to do it. There's so many different choices. So I help them get their message clear, pick a platform, and then run a strategy.
And, like I think about networking, because I'm doing like 3 to 5 networking groups a week. And the key message, keeping it under 30 seconds, you get those, I don't know if you go to the ones where they go around the room and like everybody gets 30 seconds. And there's always like 3 to 5 people that just go over and on. And you're like, I'm out. You lost me. Yeah. So I think that's, maybe that's a good way to roll into our next point is, when you're creating an offer to grab attention and to grab someone's like thought process while they're in that moment. So you've sparked interest with that 30-second pitch, or maybe online, like a landing page or that ad. Like I think when you're looking online and you're looking at like an ad script, that's kind of like your 30 seconds that you get, and you have to be really punchy and to the point. Then when you go to the landing page, again, like it's not, 50 pages of service content, and like all of that should be discoverable. But in all of that, like normally a landing page is a cut down version, and it's saying, this is something that has sparked your interest. We have the answer. We'll talk about it. We don't have to solve it right now. Just give us your details, and we can either give you this quick little cheat sheet, or we can progress to a conversation, or we could do something, you can jump in a nurture sequence and you can learn more. So that's kind of like that little invitation. So what in your mind is the best way to create your best offer? What's the way that's going to get someone to go, yes?
Well, you think about, so I'm a StoryBrand certified guide, and if you're familiar with Donna Miller's book, Building a Story Brand, you want to position your brand not as the hero, because your customer is the hero in their story. You're the guide. You're supporting them. So if you want to think about the folks that you serve, what is it that they struggle with that makes them feel insecure? So in my case, it's leads. They'll never say no really to leads. Very, very few will go, no, we got enough leads. But so if I go, here's my offer, I'll help you get 20 free leads. Well, that leads us backwards down the path of what kind of folks they need, what's their sales process, and we can build out the harvesting system, so to speak, so that when we get these leads and they start coming in, where they should go. I talked to a guy, he does merger and acquisitions. And so what he wants to do is meet more folks that has been in the back of their mind. They're ready to sell their business. Things have changed. They thought they were going to stay around 5 more years, but it's just the last couple of years has made them reconsider. So really what they're wondering is, what's the value of my business? I kind of like to know that before I start talking to someone. So his offer, he has a valuation process. So if I was to go to you and go, Avon, I don't know if you're thinking about selling, but wouldn't it be cool to know what your business is considered, what it's worth right now? And you would go, well, maybe I would, because I don't want to sell right now, but I would do things to make it more valuable in the future. His valuation process is a beautiful offer for that niche audience. It's unthreatening, it's attractive, and it leads you to the conversation of where your strong point is: mergers and acquisitions, helping people run that business.
Yeah. It's almost like when you get software companies and they have the free trial, or you see yourself in the shoes, or like when you go to the car yard and then they're like, let's go for a test drive, it's that thing to sort of feel in the moment of like, oh, this could be me, or I really understand how this would feel. Just as a side note, we've got some questions coming in, so at the end we'll add some questions. So if you're watching and you happen to be one of the live streamers, please feel free to ask a question and we'll address it at the end. So what are some really bad offers, and how do you avoid them?
What are some really what?
Bad offers.
Bad offers, yeah. So things that are things that brag about your business. I can do this for you in 2 weeks, and it's like these offers I get emails all the time with these kinds of offers, and I'm going, yeah, but you don't even know about me and whether I even need that or I want that. And so I think offers that lead with what you want to do for them right away, whether they're qualified or not, is really a bad offer.
Yeah. So I think that's the same very much with any kind of marketing materials. Like there's people that say print out every page you've got on your website, and if it says me, I, and then try to count up the number of times it says you versus me or I, and it should always be overly weighted with you. Like, you can do this, you can get that, you can be more successful with this. So I think, that's a little bit of language side. I think also a bad offer. I got a gift card for a hotel group, and it said, it was like a free gift with, doing something else. But the free was that it meant that I had to pay like the government charges or whatever. So I ended up paying, and then I ended up paying like $160, and then I wasn't able to figure out the actual hotels that I could book until after I paid that, and then it was non-refundable. And if you didn't book, and it's like, do you really want me to do any of this or to feel happy about it? I was just really frustrated at the end of it all. And so the offer left me feeling more angry than any positive feeling whatsoever for the brand. So you don't want to trick your people into buying from you. That's definitely not a good offer.
No, you want to offer something that would be like kind of original, and it's something of valuable. And whether they engage with you or not, they're going to walk away with something that helped them have clarity about what it is they're trying to solve. And there's a great book, a sales book, and I'm How to Win the Complex Sale, or the I'm killing the title. I apologize for the anyway. But it talks about you phrasing. And any offer that you do, back to what your point about using the word you, if you can put language in there that helps them see themselves in the future successful in that story, then that's beautiful information, because that's what they're hoping to. They need to see themselves in the future at that success part, and you're just going to help them along that journey.
It's like when you're doing copywriting. I've done some of the like direct response copywriting courses through Ryan Dice and that sort of thing. And one of which is you do like before and after states. And it's like, what do you have versus what do you feel between now and then? And then also on that sort of transition side is, the sell the benefits, not the features, and talk about, like, no more sore neck, instead of saying it's a memory foam pillow. It's like you're selling the fact that you're comfortable, you get a good night's sleep, everything's great, and life is peachy, and no one's kicking you in the ribs to stop snoring. That's the future you that you want, not that it's got memory foam and it's cooling technology and that sort of stuff. Like it's a nice sideline, but it's not the main gig. So when you do get that offer and it gets really, really popular and you get a crap ton of leads, now you have a different problem, right? So why don't we jump straight into rating leads and prioritizing? What's some of the methods you use?
Well, automation is a real blessing at this point, because oftentimes we go out and we beat the bushes and we get a lot of activity, but then these things fall through the cracks. So being able to quickly acknowledge them, get them to schedule. So obviously folks that are scheduled, if I'm rating the leads and prioritizing, then that's the ones that I'm studying and being prepared for. I'll have a system that's still trying to heat up these ones that have raised their hand but didn't go to the next step. But I'm also looking at them, and I can tell with my eyes, oh, this would be a perfect client for me. They're in the franchise broker industry, and I can help connect them with potential folks that would want to franchise with one of the ones in their quivers, right? And so I know immediately these are going to be almost one call closes. But this one's like the one I was talking about that wants mergers and acquisitions. I'm going to have to do a little more study and get my messaging. I got to do a little research. Think about where I'm going to go look for that list. What's something creative that I'm not thinking about that would be like perfect for him? I got to go make it up. So the folks that fit into my system that's scalable, I want them first. The unique ones I want to evaluate, because I didn't think about that one. I could scale it like this. That's the way I look at those. How about you?
Well, in terms of prioritization, one of the first few things we like to do is obviously qualify them to make sure that they are the right, and that's sort of a sales side problem. But you can do that very much so in the form. You can say things like, or even you have like a pre-call or something like that, and you say, what's your, there's an acronym, BANT, budget, authority to make decision, need, and timeline. If you don't have those four things, you're not ready to buy. The marketing is good. Like you can keep them in the funnel and move them through and maybe send some free materials or put them in an email sequence or something like that. they might not be ready. But if you treat, like, everyone's welcome to the table, it's just at what level or how close into the center or something like that. So I've got more of like an onion diagram. So if you're sort of prioritized out here on the periphery, there's free information, there's, consume some podcasts, listen to some live streams. That's sort of on that external periphery. Or here's send them an email with a checklist of things that they can do. Then when they're a little bit more interested, a little bit more engaged, maybe they absolutely love you, but they don't have the budget. They're not necessarily someone you want to reject. So, I'm a Salesforce partner, and they gave the example of, you might have like Tesla, right? They've got a car and it's electric, and you might have someone who's like super keen. They like download all the manuals. They come into the thing. They walk around into the showroom. They walk around the car. But they're a uni student, an electronics engineer, uni student. They're not qualified. They've got no money. They can't afford the car. Excuse me. They will take up a lot of your time. But so it might seem as though they're highly qualified, but they're not. Whereas you might get an executive who's got a big paycheck. They're not downloading all the things. They're kind of off on the periphery. But then they come in and they go, I want one. I'll order one for next week. So that's the one you've got to prioritize. So you might be able to elicit some of that information with how they interact with marketing based on scoring, based on videos that they watch, behavioral activity, and then also in the form when you're asking them, is this you? Like, I think a lot of times people confuse adding to a mailing list, which should just be like first name and email, get on the list. You're kind of just they're giving you permission to market to them. Then versus that lead form, which should have a little bit more information because you want to qualify and prioritize. Because it might even be that you're prioritizing to a region to go, here, this salesperson is near you, so they will be able to deal with you faster. It's not as though we're trying to qualify you out because you're in Texas or because you're in Brisbane. We're qualifying you in because we've got a guy on the ground right there that can come and have a coffee with you, which is going to be a much nicer experience than getting sent just a few videos and then a payment link, as an example.
Yeah, there's so many, depending upon your sales process. There's many ways to really get clarity on your leads and their value in that priority list. Yes.
And like, I'm one person. So in a business where I'm trying to grow as well, I'm probably going to prioritize the high value or the high quality leads. And then I'm then going to have some smaller clients. They're probably going to go through a process of talking to somebody else before they come into like the operational side. Mm-hmm. So that's just good fit practice. I don't feel bad about any of that sort of stuff at all.
I do want to add one more point.
Yeah.
It's okay if you see something that's not in your wheelhouse to tell them, you know what, I appreciate you thinking of me, but we're not going to be a good fit because we do this, and I think you really need this. I think that kind of bravery can save you a lot of pain.
Not only that, I think you gain a lot of respect in that point as well. So when they go off and talk to other people, they might say, oh, I've got a friend of mine who's in the right spot. They are in your wheelhouse. Talk to these guys. They're brutally honest. They'll do a good job.
Yeah, totally.
Which kind of leads me into the last point, is why you need an XRM. Now, I've swapped out the CRM for an X, and the reason being is that in my humble opinion, that all relationships are good in some way, shape, or form, and that we should be trying to understand them, capitalize on them. So whilst we are talking about, perhaps qualifying people out, we're just saying, look, we can't help you. Like you said, this other person is good for you, but we're not sort of saying, I never want to speak to you again. We're just sort of saying that, it's a different relationship now. It's perhaps one where, you're welcome to the table, come and, consume some of our content, learn from us. That situation may change in future. We've had people come back 2 years after their first interaction to go, look, we weren't a good fit before, but now we are, let's do it. And it was never a question of who, it was just a question of when. The other thing too is that these people, you talk about in Australia, we're talking about the barbecue test, right? So if your friend's going to go, or this person's going to go and talk about you at a barbecue, that's the best referral you can get, because they're 5 times more likely to buy. And again, it's not a question of who, it's just a question of when they finally found you or come across you or that sort of thing. So what about you? Do you do a lot of like stakeholder relationships?
Yes. Well, the folks that I work with, they stay with us a long time.
Mm.
And I think I'm helping them establish a CRM process that maybe they didn't have in place often. And CRM being customer relationship. But I just received a great referral from someone who was a client a long time ago.
Mm.
And things changed, and then I get a text introduction out of the blue. I haven't talked to him in a year, which I was like going, shame on you, Steve, that you haven't been staying in touch with Lloyd. But anyway, I think it happens as long as you're being authentic and you really do care about their success.
Mm.
I think it shows, and I think it builds that relationship that can be beneficial to you in many ways, even if it's not business.
I think, it does a little bit depend on your approach to market. Like, we're very much B2B. And so like consumer products, you might see it online or you see it in a magazine and you go, yeah, I like it. And then what was it, like that Temu ad? I like it. Yep, it's mine. The price is blow my mind. Anyway, the power of marketing. Yes. So the next component of that is that those sort of introductions or those stakeholder relationships. It could be that person might be working in a government department. They're never going to buy your skills, or your services, but they know that other people that they work with need it in order to be able to do something else. Like getting certain clearances to be able to work with government. So the person that supplies that service solves a problem for them, because they can make that introduction and then get some project over the line that's been stuck and held up. So there are value points throughout the journey. Doesn't matter who you are. I'll caveat that with it does matter who you are with that prioritization. But like, I might have a conversation and go, there's some other like non-obvious, one-to-one sale interaction here that would be of value. I will still add them to my database, but I will put notes and comments and like have referral lists where I can send out emails en masse to people who are referral partners. And I don't try to sell to them. I just give them a company update. This is who we are. This is what we've been up to lately in the last 6 months, or once a quarter, like nothing in your face. But I find that alone just reminds them that we exist. Some of them, they'll share, they'll go, hey, that's very exciting, because they like to see people, achieving things and doing things. And generally there's a bit of a personal relationship there, either with us or the brand. And yeah, like I think that in business, sometimes it's sort of dangerous to be like, you buy from us or I don't want to know you.
Right.
And I think that happens a lot, particularly in like large enterprise sales organizations, where my wife was trying to find an IT provider, and they said, how many users you got? First question wasn't even like, hello, how many users have you got? And they're like, 40. And they're like, no, 250 and above. Boom, literally hung up the phone. That's not good marketing at all. The question at the barbecue would be, we're thinking of a new IT guy. What do you think of these guys? Do not. They will hang up on you. They don't care. Yeah. So I think we're getting close to the end. Was there any other points, questions, anything you wanted to add for our listeners?
No, I like, I notice that sometimes I'll do an introduction. I learn about different businesses. It's amazing. Then I talked to someone the other day, and they maintain railroad right away. So they have all the special equipment that goes down the track, and they cut the trees back and things.
Yeah, right.
I learned about so many different kinds of businesses I didn't know existed, but yet I'll think of someone, I go, oh, they should know each other.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of my clients is like, he arranges financing for folks that need to buy equipment real quick. And maybe it's a better deal than going to the bank, and you can get it faster. And I would think, I'm going to send an introduction to that.
Yeah.
I think that in the long run is like super. It makes you unique. It makes you, it's another value add for what you do.
you become like the positive medium between them, that a lot of that positivity rubs off on you. Yeah, I try to introduce like 2 or 3 people to everybody.
Yeah.
So keeping a CRM or an XRM is a great way to do that.
Absolutely.
So I know that we've sort of run through all our topics, and I know that you've got a book. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's I just happen to have it right here.
Oh, good.
It's called The Golden Toilet. Stop flushing your marketing budget into your website and build a system that grows your business. And you know, I knew I needed to write a book about marketing, but I wanted to do something unique. And it's that system mentality I think is so valuable. If you can see it as a system, then it can grow not only your business, it can grow the value of your business.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got the business octopus. I don't have a physical copy, I'm sorry. But again, it's like, you give your business a brain and teach it to grow itself. So, I think if you take anything away from this, it should be that you need to really invest and spend time building those systems, because that is the thing that's going to cause you to get to the next 20 sales, to then, creating the best offer is part of building those systems. Rating your leads is another system. The CRM is a system. But yeah, that pretty much the crescendo of it all is get some damn systems, stop procrastinating, and do it.
Yeah. When you said the business octopus, are you familiar with that film about that guy that he would go diving and he would go visit an octopus all the time? Are you familiar with that? I think it was on Netflix or something.
I think I've seen something on YouTube Shorts or something.
It's a great show. It's a true story, but it's like when you said octopus, I thought that was really smart that you tied that in, because now when I see them, I appreciate how smart they are, how they adapt to their environment. It's pretty cool.
Well, I think of it like my analogy is that they've got all these tentacles. One is like they're all eating data, right? So they put one is on the phones, one is on the email system, one is on the salesperson's head, one in like website, and they're all just like munching data. And then that's giving you analytics and insights. And so it's the thing that does the thinking, not the business owner. So it's kind of you're putting the idea of the business in the middle, and everybody can interact with it instead of it being all through you as the central point of failure, which doesn't help with sleep. It doesn't help with your ability to have a personal life. It doesn't help with your ability to, if you make a wrong decision, you take it very personally. But if you've got a system you can put it into, then it's generally like a business case, and it's all based on data, and it's not as much of a problem. If something goes wrong, people consult the system, and then it will give you the output of, you should do this or you should do that. So it makes it a lot easier to have not no responsibility, but like a weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, and the long-term value of that is at some point you're going to sell your business. And the person that's buying that business is going to think to themselves, how am I going to pay for it? And when you can show them the systems that you have in place, then what they pay for your business goes up, because it helps them see themselves in the future adopting these systems that you worked to build and set up, and it makes it more valuable. So I think it's a great
transferable asset. Absolutely. Now we do have a couple of questions. So, okay, we've got Ankit. What do you find most challenging about your current position? Now, I'm going to say like what's challenging to us in terms of what we do. So did you want to take this one, or
you go first? It's your show.
Right. So I would say a lot of the times is customer education. Like what we do in terms of business automation is quite complex, but it's also important. So if we're spending the time building out those sort of systems, not only for ourselves, but like that education system for our customer, there's a bit of a mindset shift or a process shift, or there's a lot of things that have to change in a business for it to get to the point of being having systems. And then you're constantly working on the systems, not constantly working on the solving that customer problem or putting out that fire. And the challenge is to get the business owner to change their mind about, I have to answer that call, I have to respond to this email? Yeah, you kind of do, but at the same token, it's that rocks and sand conversation of, do the important things first, and all the other bits will fill in into that.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing for any business owner, but me, I have to really focus on clearly communicating what we're doing, where we're going, because it impacts your culture. It impacts expectations. And you think of all the folks that are working for you. If you were to ask them, are you rowing to the same point on the horizon that I am? They would say yes. But I think if you really dug in, oftentimes it's no. They think they are, but they're not. Well, whose fault is that? That's your fault for not pointing out that we're going to this point on the horizon every day. And so I think that's the hardest thing, is to keep that tune playing, right?
It's almost like going to the gym. If you don't do it one day, you're not going to go forward. You're going to go backwards.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of backwards going on my.
Absolutely. We do have another question here. This is also by Ankit. So should I hire family members to work for me in my business? I've got my thoughts. You want to lead us? Yeah.
So these are great questions, Ankit. I would say running a business is hard. And I will say this. If you study the stats, I don't know what it is in Australia, but I would imagine it's similar. That number one, 98% of the business in the US is 20 or less employees. So that means there's an owner and they have 20 or less employees. And then a high percentage of those are family-owned businesses. Running a business is hard. Running a family is hard. And then you're merging those two, and many do successfully. But I think I would say, and I hired my brother for a short time, but it was a temporary position for just to come in and pull this position for a little bit. And it wasn't like a stressful thing, but I know for other people, it can be very stressful.
Yeah. I would stray away from it if you can. Obviously, sometimes you got to fill gaps. You got to make things happen. I would probably say, if you can avoid it, do so, because you're just going to cause more issues in the long run. And business is temporary. Like you said, there's an exit plan. Family's forever, whether you like it or not. So if you then have this, begrudged period where you don't like the way something happened. I mean, people go, oh, well, I want family because that's someone I can trust. But it's also someone that if you get angry with, you kind of can't ever walk away from. You can't ever, start completely new with. Whereas sometimes, look, they're hard in both senses of the word, but there's just so much more mess and complication. But then it doesn't stop there, because then they talk to other family members, and then that spreads, and then that hangs around with you a long time. So you don't want to have something tainted where you might have, I don't know, blown up at someone one day because you were stressed, and then happens to be your cousin, and then next thing is the whole family thinks you're a terrible person, and then now you're dealing with pressure from them. So it just amplifies everything. It's almost inescapable in some circumstances where someone's covering a base. But yeah, like you said, keep it temporary.
I worked in two companies that were strong or very family, or one of them, I didn't know that the wife was calling the shots.
Yeah.
I thought the husband was the boss.
The pressure behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so there I stepped in some difficult things just by not being clued into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen lots of like families torn apart and then infighting, and then the other problem is I would even go as far as not hiring siblings or related, like unless you're in a massive organization, like imagine the army, there's heaps of people that are relatives, but it's big enough not to be an issue. But with I've had I'll say boyfriend and girlfriend couple, and then they like kind of gang up against people, or they'd fight in the shop, and then everybody can see it, and then it just wasn't nice. So church and state, keep it separate.
Yeah, it's hard to go home and unplug.
Yeah,
But to go home and with someone you worked with all day and unplug, that must be difficult. This has been good conversation. I've enjoyed it, Eamon.
Absolutely. Well, we've had our highs, and we've talked about the lows, and I appreciate you coming on. It's been fantastic having a live stream with you. I'd be keen to do it again. So we'll thank you for coming along. If you've got any other questions, please feel free to keep them coming in the comments. We can handle the comments more proactively, retrospectively after this. But otherwise, thank you for watching the Business Octopus. We're going to finish up now. So enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, and take care. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.